Greetings, your fellow neighborhood Doug here, and this is a response from Seth, who had a question about how to deal with the pressures and so forth when things get a little rough. But there was a little caveat in there which said, and if you're too poor to make it to meetings, and then there was some other things in there that said, ask for help, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the first thing I'd like to approach right here is if you're focusing on lack, too poor, right there alone, we're already having a little bit of a challenge, right? We have a different set of perspective right there, because when it comes to drugs and so forth, when someone was active, was anyone ever too poor? Or did they find a way to get their DOC? Now, I like to flip it a little bit, because I'm not suggesting you go out and do anything nefarious to get to a meeting, but you can make a phone call, and it doesn't cost anything necessarily unless you don't have a phone, in which case I'm going to hallucinate that you can find your way to a phone without stealing, without hurting anybody and anything like that. And what boils down to back to is state management, right? I mean, it's all about focus. If you're focusing on too poor, you have a different set of filters that you're running your life through. Is this true? Is this accurate? And when you're wearing this type of perspective peeper here, you're seeing things that are a little askew and not quite right, not quite accurate. So maybe what you're noticing right now is by doing this, let me adjust them. Yeah. It's now changing perspective. These glasses do change perspective, of course. Are there other ways to look at this situation? State management. What are you focusing on in this situation? If you're feeling the pressure, if you're feeling the challenges, all that means is that there's an action signal. That pressure is, and those feelings, those emotions are action signals that it's time to do something, time to change your state. And we have all the tools within us right now. So the one thing that we forget when we start coming from this abundance or lack thereof mentality, if we're thinking zero-sum mentality where we're too poor, there's no one who will talk to us, no one will help, or why bother all this? These are all the byproducts of the focus on all of that. So in that moment, the tools that we have available to us all the time are to change our state, change our perspective. You know, maybe we could put on a different pair of glasses that have a different perspective. These are polarized. And to be honest with you, when I put these on, these being polarized, the screen right here went completely black. Can't see what's on the screen because of these glasses. So they changed the filter as to what I was seeing or not seeing, changed the perspective. So one of the ways to do this is, and of course I'm only speaking to you, Seth, is to ask better questions. Maybe there's if you want to ask for help, maybe there's someone right now you're not prepared to call, but maybe you say, well, who else could I call? What other strategies could I implement right now? Could I just simply go for it? Feeling the pressure, breathe. Man, sometimes we forget. I mean, think about it, how important breath is. When you're stressed, and you notice sometimes when people get stressed after a period of time, then they'll do that big old sigh. Well, why is that? Because when you're stressed, do you breathe? Not really. So that sigh is your brain going, McFly, hello, we need some oxygen. So maybe in that moment, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling pressure, do whatever you need to do in that moment, whatever you can. Try as many different things to change your state, change your focus, change your language. Notice what language are you using habitually? What are you doing with your body? Are you slumping or are you sitting back? Could you just go for a walk, do some jumping jacks, sing a song, anything to just interrupt that pattern? And then you'll find yourself maybe in a more resourceful state to make that call and all that. So ultimately, It's not about resources. It's about resourcefulness. It's not about being too poor. Man, do you realize how much we have available to us all the time? And sometimes we take it for granted. Maybe a better question is, what can I appreciate right now? What resources do I have available to me right now? How could I be even more resourceful? How could I change my state? How could I interrupt this pattern? How could I be even more grateful in this moment? And remember, just for today, just for this moment, just for this second, every time you start breaking that pattern, every time you do it, what'll happen is you start to widen the time frames between some of these stressors and these challenges, and you realize that all you have is right here, and it's perfect. And you can change your state instantly. You can change your focus, language, or physiology as quick as seeing an interesting image. Couldn't you? Or not. It's your choice, but these glasses are still here.